This is the Big Deal Podcast, brought to you and powered by New Covenant Baptist Church in Naperville, Alabama. I'm Justin.
I'm Brad.
Welcome to the Big Deal.
Welcome.
Welcome. Hey, I got a question for you, Brad.
I cannot wait.
All right. In the tradition that we're beginning of, would you rather lose your sight or your memories?
That's an awful choice. I'm going sight.
You would rather be blind and remember
Yes.
than
Yes.
be able to see the rest of your life and not remember.
For sure.
Yeah.
But losing all my memory at this point, I mean, it's been hard to hang on to them things.
Yeah. It's like
I can barely remember stuff now.
Yeah. Maybe if I was like a kid, if I was younger.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, get the memories out.
If I was like
out.
17, that's fine. But at 50,
in my 20s.
am I going to forget my kids, my wife, my job, my Jesus? I forget everything?
Yeah.
Are you still saved if you forget about Jesus?
Whoa. That's a good question.
Yeah, if you get
an amnesia patient.
Oh, they're saved. See, that's a great little thought experiment because people think, I can't remember when I was so young, I can't remember when I dedicated myself to Jesus. I said, well, look, if you had a car wreck and hit your head and you can't even remember your name, is Jesus like, well, they forgot me. I guess he ain't regenerated anymore.
Man. You know, that's, God's grace
because God saves you.
Is better than your
memory.
Yeah.
When you go to sleep at night, you forget about Jesus.
You do. You forget about Jesus all the time, actually.
All the time.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
Like you think about it, like sometimes like I'm like, man, I didn't think about something godly all day today.
Yeah, I don't want to lose my memories. It would be too painful. It's not me. It wouldn't matter to you.
Yeah.
But it would be massively painful for your family.
Yeah,
and
that's
friends.
true. Being blind, I mean, it's a super disability.
Yeah.
But it's like our world has it's like done some things to make that go a little bit smoother for you. You know, you can get around. You can read
anyway.
with Braille. You can learn Braille and stuff. They got tools out there.
You can just listen to everything on audio too.
Yeah.
I mean, for
sure.
You don't even have to learn Braille.
All right, we'll do another. Would you rather? Would you rather lose your sight or your hearing?
Sight.
Oh yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but like I really like music, and listening to stuff is like my deal.
Yeah. It's a hard one for me. I think I would be more useless as like for my family. I would have like less ability to help as a blind person than I would like deaf.
True.
And so I would probably choose deaf, but it would be a huge sacrifice because I love music. I've been a musician my whole life.
Yeah. I think I'm choosing sight. My kids are grown.
Yeah.
My wife wouldn't like need that much help.
Yeah.
And I would still be able to preach.
Yeah.
And put together sermons and do my thing.
You could do that deaf too.
I could, but it would be it gets hard to communicate.
Yeah, you start having a hard time talking.
Yeah, and lose your inflection and stuff. I think it would. I think definitely.
Yeah, I'd probably just go in whatever ministry stuff I do, I'd just be writing kind of stuff. You know,
you'd have to pivot.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's a hard stuff, man. We need a positive one of these. Yeah, these aren't negative, man.
See, when you do this to a man, just so people know, we automatically start making a plan as if that thing has happened already. It's 100% true.
I just planned it out.
Now, I'm like, okay,
I've
got this thing set up. It's like every time something comes on, it's like, well, we may lose the grid and everything. It's like, time to buy a small farm. And
that's why we talk about the preparing for the collapse of society so often, amongst ourselves.
We have these interviews in the military where they like ask you stuff to see if you're psychologically okay.
Oh, yeah?
And it messes me up because they're like, do you ever think about harming anyone? And it's like, are there people who don't think about that?
Yeah.
Like, when I go into a room full of strangers, I'm like, I might have to whoop one of these guys or something. Something might go down.
Just assert my dominance.
How do I get out of here? How do I get out of here if this thing goes bad?
Yeah.
Like, is that normal?
No.
You ask people. It's not normal?
I wouldn't say it's normal.
Oh. Maybe I should seek help.
Maybe you should.
Oh, man. Maybe I'm a little bit too uptight.
Yeah, you might be,
Yeah, probably some
high
childhood
strung.
trauma.
Yeah.
A little bit. Or Maybe I've just seen things.
You've seen things.
Too many reels. It's like, whoa, that went south fast. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You see those Starman videos on like the reels you get stuck on? They play that song, Starman.
No,
it's
I
always
don't know
like
that. Yeah.
some dude hopping off a motorcycle trying to rob somebody, and they rob the wrong dude, and there's a shootout, and you're like, oh my gosh. It's like it goes south fast. It's like scared to pump gas now.
No,
and also just think, you're asking military people if they ever think about harming folks. Like literally, we train for that all the time.
Yeah, that's kind of a dumb question.
I feel like it, but they're like trying to see if you're okay.
Yeah. Speaking of reels,
I'm not okay.
Like my algorithm right now is really funny. I think it's hilarious.
That's good. It goes through cycles though. You gotta start doing some fast swaps when you get on the dumb stuff.
It's super fun. And I tried to share my humor with the youth the other night.
They didn't get it.
Dude, they did not get it.
And
at
it
all.
hurt your feelings.
It didn't hurt my feelings. It just made me realize how poor their sense of humor is.
And it's on them.
Yeah.
Hey, that could be something you need counseling about.
Yeah.
It's okay if people don't think what's your. I see things all the time. I send my wife and I, we send each other these things, and sometimes I'm like, I really want to send this to Amy, but I better not.
me and Steph send each other. There's a word for that now. Have you heard that?
No.
What is that called? I'm gonna send it.
When you don't send your wife a meme?
What is it? Like sending reels. What is it called when
I
you?
don't know. Keeping it real.
What is it called when you send reels as a form of love? It's this. Yeah. I can't remember what it was called.
They have a word for it.
There was a word for it now, and it's not on. Did come in? It's not on Google.
Well, it's so. People do this.
Hey, what it is we're in a relationship.
A real relationship. That's what I said. Keeping it real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Man, there was a word. I can't remember what it was called though.
We'll update you later.
Yeah, we'll update you later. But anyways, we send each other funny things all the time, and we got our algorithms are funny, man.
That's
so
good.
Stinking funny.
Man, don't ever if you ever stop on like a human drama one, like something happens.
Oh, I don't do that stuff.
Oh, I do sometimes. I'll be like, oh man, and then like swipe it, and then it's like, oh, he wants to be sad tonight. Let's just keep showing him all this terrible human drama, and then you got to like swipe fast, like stop showing me.
So we got on TikTok, and like I'm not a TikTok person, but like we just gonna try it out, and I was so surprised at how many serious and like strange things were on TikTok because it didn't know me. So
didn't know
the
you.
algorithm,
it's just throwing stuff.
It's
at
just
you.
throwing anything at me. I was like, why is this on here?
Yeah,
just a guy walking down the street. Like why?
Why?
And there's like this person crying.
Oh yeah, well, that's so weird. And then, but see, what happens is you're like, why? So you go to the comments, like, what is going on? I need to figure out this mystery.
Yeah.
So you're like, why are they crying? And it's like, well, some people like to hear people cry or whatever. And it's
that's
like,
so
what?
Wild.
Well, yeah, now you've sat on that reel for like 2 to 3 minutes trying to figure it out. So it's like, oh, he likes to see people cry.
He likes this
Let's
a
keep
lot.
sending him. And it's like, why is my algorithm full of people crying? I feel like I'm going to cry now. What in the world? Oh, man.
It's true. It's really strange how those algorithms work.
It is weird. Yeah. The AI is figuring you out, man.
You guys might see today. Look at these little stickers right here.
We
voted. Yeah, today is technically it's November 5th, but you're seeing this in like the 15th or something.
Whenever we get around to it.
Yeah, whenever it gets uploaded. So we voted for a lot of judges today.
Yeah. That had no opposition.
Zero opposition.
Zero. People didn't even try.
They didn't even try.
I'm
hey, who could go against Jay Maston?
Oh, he's gonna win.
Shout out Jay Maston.
And if you don't
you're
listen,
the man.
I'm not voting for you next time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And vote for the President of the United States.
Yes.
Not that it matters because we live in Alabama.
Does not matter.
Yeah. Alabama's going to Trump no matter what we do.
No matter.
Yeah. I usually actually vote third party because of that. Just to like ballot access kind of thing.
That's what sometimes I just like to be the guy that throws the wrench in the thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look, the Libertarian Party got 17 votes.
Yeah, the Libertarian.
That's one of mine.
Yeah, the Libertarian Party's who I used to vote for, and they used to put up some okay candidates, ex-governors, things like that. Ron Paul was it one year, and but man, they chose like nut this
Well,
year.
that's what we're doing.
So
I think that's the thing we're doing now. We're just choosing nuts. I don't think that sane people run for office.
No,
for
why
the most
would
part.
you? Why would you?
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to Evie about this the other day. Evie's my daughter. Everyone, you know that, most of you. And she was she's talking. She was playing a bad guy.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, she's like gonna be this bad guy and stuff. When she was playing pretend, and she said her goal was to rule the world.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's funny. I was like, that sounds miserable.
Yeah. No good guy ever does that.
Who would want to rule the world? And it actually doesn't even make sense as like a plot point for like an evil character.
Yeah.
It's so much work.
So much work.
For like, and know what I mean, come on, just be a millionaire instead of like a billionaire. Yeah. That's way better than ruling the world.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I can't even. Yeah.
Ruling the world would suck.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
barely
Amy.
can. I can barely even like get my kids to do what I want them to.
Yeah.
Much less strangers.
Yeah. I don't understand like Hitler and Alexander the Great, the conquest, the power, like more territory conquering.
Yuck.
Oh my gosh, man.
What are we doing? I don't know.
Sounds like what a drag.
What a drag.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think you got to put yourself through a lot of like if you have a good intention, it's an honorable office. Like we should pray for them.
Yeah, for sure.
If you just want to, maybe it starts out like I want to help my community.
Yeah.
Run for mayor or something.
Yeah.
Run for representative, and then you do a good job and keep going up. Okay, but like boy, you put your family through a lot. And you automatically are going to be hated by at least 49.5% of the population.
Yeah, at least.
And no matter what you do, somebody hates it.
Yeah.
Vocally.
Yeah.
And will tear you apart. That's true. I mean, anybody that's ever done anything in any leadership has people that hate their guts.
Yeah.
And the more people you're responsible for, the more people that hate your guts.
Yeah.
And there's some unhinged people out there. They're taking shots at the former president.
Yeah,
man.
he's been shot at twice. Well,
twice.
Once. I don't know if the other guy.
They caught the other
guy. Yeah.
I don't know if the other guy got.
He
off
was
the
ready
shot.
to shoot at him though.
He's in a bush or something.
Man, that stinks, man.
Yeah.
Hey, make a prediction
About what?
because this is coming out after the election's over and stuff. So, like, what's your prediction?
Oh, I don't know, man. I think my prediction is going to be close.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to be happy. So that's what my prediction is.
But who's going to win?
I don't know. I think Trump might win.
You think so?
I think the odds of it going in his favor are more likely because if you're in a rural area, Trump's going to win.
Yeah.
It's closer in swing states, so there's bigger population. But
Yeah.
I think people in those populations are scared to say that they're Trump people. And so I think it's underpolled. That's just my feeling. That's
I was
my gut
talking
feeling.
to my mom about her family in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And they were all talking about it, and they totally have that vibe.
Really?
It's like, oh yeah, they are like closet Trump supporters.
Yeah.
And it's kind of bizarre.
I know it's because they're scared. You know, people think it's conservatives with guns that are dangerous, but it's actually like not.
Yeah.
It's not, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are some lunatics out there.
Yeah.
Both sides got their lunatics.
Everyone's got their crazy uncles, man.
Yeah. But I mean, we got Harris signs in Albertville.
We do.
Nobody's messed with them.
Yeah, that's surprising to me actually. I don't know.
Yeah, they're out there.
There ain't no hair signs where I'm from.
Yeah. No.
Where I'm from there.
It's such a weird thing. Why, when you put everybody in one spot, does it change how they vote?
I don't
Or
know.
if you spread them out, it changes.
I think some of it, there's cultural, similarities and stuff.
Maybe.
You know, things that are important to them.
It's a weird world, man.
Yeah.
The world's weird.
Yeah.
Well, we should probably talk
Let's
about
talk about, we're at the Passover. Okay. So we've been through the 9 plagues, and just look, this is just some honesty for you. We've already filmed this podcast.
Why you tell them that?
Because I like it. I like people
He
that
deleted
know
it.
how dumb
Man,
I am.
I know. Maybe.
I accidentally deleted the podcast.
The good news is the first time it was awful.
It must have been. God said no.
God
You're
said
not,
no.
You're not putting that
Or
out there.
maybe the devil was like,
Or
let
maybe
me
it was.
kill Brad. And the Lord was like, no. He's like, let me kill his family. The Lord was like, no. And he kept going down the list like, let me trash their podcast. And God was like, you can have one of them.
Maybe that's what happened.
Maybe that's what
So,
happened.
yeah.
He chose that one, so maybe it was really good. He's like, I got to get rid of that Passover one.
Well, this one is super important, so maybe we just need to talk about it twice.
Yeah, twice. Okay.
Yeah, they never get over the Passover, man. This story lives on to this day.
Yeah.
You know, they still celebrate it. We still celebrate, you know, it in a sense, you know, with some things around Easter. So, you know, kind of give the backdrop, Brad. Tell us what's going on.
This is the worst.
Yeah, this
plague.
is the culmination of all of these plagues against
so
Egypt.
God tells Israel that they're fixing to be delivered.
Yeah.
And God is going to send the angel of death, I think.
Yeah, it is, yep.
To strike down all the firstborn in Egypt. And if they do not put lamb's blood on the doorposts, then they are going to die too.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen at midnight, and it's going to be bad. And he tells them, get dressed, put on your sandals, keep your staff in your hand. When you offer your Passover lamb, it has to be gone by the morning. You have to eat it all or burn up what's left.
Yeah.
Don't put any leaven in your bread. Bring unleavened bread. You don't have time for it to rise. The whole thing about leavened and unleavened bread is not about evil, which I've heard before. It's about you don't have time for your bread to rise.
Yeah.
I bake bread sometimes.
Is it good?
It is good.
It's delicious.
It's delicious.
Are you a sourdough guy or are you
no,
regular?
just plain old bread.
Yeah.
Artisan
Sourdough
bread.
people love it. Sourdough.
Yeah,
they get into it, man.
I don't know. I just do regular bread, and but you do have to let it rise for like 8 or 9 hours at least, and you didn't have time. So in the Passover, they were like unleavened bread. That's why it's unleavened, so that they'd be ready to go.
Yeah, that's why we do that with the Lord's Supper. Generally speaking, people use unleavened bread.
Yeah, they had a whole church split in about 1000 AD over that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was
it's true.
West.
Tell me about that. Yeah.
The church split?
Yeah, why not?
So we have the Roman Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Orthodox Church is in the east, and the west is the Catholic Church, and they had some beef.
Yeah, it's the first Reformation.
Yeah, they had some beef. So there were several things they were fussing about. One was all the holy sees.
Yeah.
There's 7 of them.
Yeah. These are like districts.
Yeah,
basically.
districts.
Yeah.
Only one was in the west. That's Rome.
Yeah.
And then you had 6 in the east, like Antioch and Jerusalem and places like that, where the ancient church was. And one of their big sticking points was the Pope or the Bishop of Rome started saying, I'm the man. I'm the vicar of Christ, and you should all be listening to me. And the east was like, no. And also, it was a transition from the fall of the Roman Empire, sort of, and not even sort of is what happened. And they started having controversy about whether or not the Mass should be in Latin or Greek. So if you came from the East, they wanted to be able to do Mass in Greek.
Yeah.
And the Latins were like, no, it should always be in Latin.
Yeah.
And the Greeks were like, no, it should always be in Greek. And also the capital of the empire had moved from Rome to Constantinople. Byzantium. So Constantine moved the capital of Rome to Constantinople, which is one of the sees.
Mm-hmm.
And so because it's the capital, he starts getting more clout.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of a clout fuss, too. And so these things added up. And one of the other things was that in the East, they used leavened bread for the Eucharist. And in the West, they used unleavened bread.
Yeah.
So they tried to work it out, you know. The Pope sent a representative to see, I think his name was Patriarch Michael or something like that. Anyway, instead of having a negotiation, he just excommunicated him at the Lord's Supper table.
At the Lord's Supper table.
Right, just come in there and like, plop, you're excommunicated from the church. And he was like, hang on one second.
What?
Where's my pen?
Yeah.
So he writes one, he excommunicates him. It's like, plop, you're excommunicated. No, you're excommunicated. Get out of here. And they've been divorced for 1,000 years.
Yeah, that's sad. Kind of, I don't know, whatever.
Oh, there was another controversy, like, how does the Holy Spirit come into the world? The West says through Father and Son, and the East says through the Father. You know, massive, important things like that.
Yeah, isn't that so silly, some of those things?
Yeah, I mean, to split over.
Yeah, to split, like...
Well, the West had a good argument. They were like, the Holy Spirit does not operate outside of the, I don't know, auspice of the Son. He can't just bring people to the Father except through the Son. So he's sent by Son and Father for that end.
Yeah, John John, the prayer in John, Jesus' prayer in John,
Yeah.
seems to indicate Father and Son, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that fuss goes ways back.
Yeah.
And really,
So
really, it's
the connection, though, about the reason we're talking about the bread, though, is that the Lord's Supper that we take, weekly and stuff,
Yeah.
it's connected to the Passover supper.
Absolutely.
So,
it is
if
the
you didn't know that.
fulfillment
Yeah.
of the shadow we're fixing to learn about.
Whenever Jesus is doing the Last Supper, the night before he's crucified, they are taking Passover. They're
Yes.
eating the Passover supper, and so
And,
the bread and the wine.
So
from that.
every Sunday you're being offered an Exodus.
Yeah, that is
And
that's
it's
exactly
an
right.
urgency.
Yep.
Accept the gospel.
Yep.
Feast,
actually,
feast on Christ by faith and
the
be
word
saved.
redemption in
Yeah.
the New Testament is the word that's translated redemption in English. It's deeply connected to being saved out of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's actually what the word means. If you think about like what do we? It's redeem is a
Pay off a debt.
It's a financial term,
Yeah,
right?
it's a ransom sort of
You
thing.
redeem coupons.
You could redeem some, and most debt or slavery in the Old Testament was wage debt.
Yeah.
So you couldn't pay off something, so you had to go work for somebody basically as an indentured servant.
Yeah.
And to work it off. And
Yeah.
if you were related, if you were my cousin or brother, I could be your kinsman redeemer, and I could pay your debt so you could get out from under that.
Yeah.
And then I would just hold it over your head for the rest of your life.
And so that connection goes back to Exodus, where they're redeemed out of Israel. There's
Out of Egypt.
Yeah, out of Egypt into
Yeah.
Israel. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry. So it's a brutal plague.
It's brutal. It's the worst. So the angel of death comes, and he comes at midnight, and it says that Pharaoh arose in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, because there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was no home where there was not someone dead.
Oh man.
So you have to think about this. They wake up because everyone's screaming. And I
Yeah.
told this story on the one that was gone. I remember
you can
this.
say it again, though.
Should I tell the Brazil story again?
Yeah, you
Okay,
should.
so
Yeah.
you got to remember they weren't American,
Yeah.
right? So they didn't have AC units. Every home is designed where you can get a breeze through it in the desert to cool it off.
Yep.
And so when
all the windows are open.
all the
basically.
windows are open. When I was in Brazil, this was the case for most houses. When somebody would get mad at somebody next door and they would like yell at their kids, it sounded like they were in your house, kind of.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's how it was. And I was watching a soccer game, which I knew nothing about. Soccer, foot ping pong is what I called it then. I was a uncouth barbarian, clearly. And Brazil was playing Argentina. I think it was Argentina. And it was a close game. And that's like their bitter rivals. Like, people die after this game.
Oh man.
They're serious.
They
about it.
storm it.
Oh,
the
it's
field
they
and
pack
everything.
so many
Yeah.
people on the field. They
Yeah.
have people that fight, fist fights over it. It's just crazy,
Mhm.
wild rivalry. Like Alabama, Auburn times bajillion.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like national pride bound up in there,
Yeah,
too. You know?
definitely. Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm watching this game, and I think it was Argentina, Brazil. But anyway, it was a big rivalry game. And Brazil kicked a goal, and the goalkeeper caught it. But he stumbled a little backwards. And if the ball passes the threshold of the net, it doesn't matter if the goalkeeper's holding it. It's still a goal.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't call a goal.
Oh.
And it was as if all Brazil at once screamed in fury. I've never heard anything like it before since in my whole life.
Yeah.
Everyone in the entire country, I think I was in Goiânia, Brazil. Everyone in the entire country at once screamed goal. And it was like shook the foundations of the earth. I was
Yeah.
like, what in the heck? They were like, it's a goal. Oh, they were so going crazy.
Yeah.
And
You
I
could
thought,
hear it all over the city.
all over
Yeah.
the world. I
Yeah,
thought,
yeah.
what is happening here? And that's kind of how I imagine, like, what happened in the Passover
Yeah.
when it was 12th hour and people started waking up and realizing Dad was dead
Mm.
and that Big Brother's dead
Yeah.
and that Grandpa's dead. Like, there was a
Yeah.
bunch of screaming, and Pharaoh wakes up and his son's dead.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad, real bad. And it says that there was such an outcry in Egypt that such has never been heard before, nor ever will be heard again.
Yeah.
Not like that. So I just, and another thing to picture as you think of this Passover is these Israelites huddled up in their homes who have obeyed, right?
Yeah.
They're hearing this.
Yeah.
And everyone is wailing and screaming because their kids are dead. And they're just sitting there. It must have been horrific.
I mean, it would certainly. Golly, it's hard to imagine.
As an Israelite, you must have been terrified.
Yeah, like
the Egyptians got terrified.
I gotta get out of here.
We got
like they're about to try to kill us all.
Yeah. Well, and the Egyptians literally say, send them out. The Egyptians urge the people, send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we will all be dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, quit screwing around with Yahweh.
Yeah.
He has dropped 9 plagues on us. Now he's killed our firstborn.
Yeah.
Get out of here. And they looted them on the way out. They were like, here, take the furniture. Take everything.
On the last podcast, I talked about watching that movie, The Prince of Egypt.
Yeah.
And I thought that, I remember that when after the Passover, first of all, the Passover was excellently done in that movie. It was so good. There's this...
this is like a 1998 cartoon
98,
film.
it is.
DreamWorks.
Yeah, DreamWorks. It's wonderfully done. There's breath. You can hear the breath leave all over Egypt. It's like, and then you hear, like all throughout the land. It's it's very eerie and well done. But when Israel realizes what's happening and they pack up their stuff and go, one interesting thing about it is that they made them happy in the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Like it very quickly turned to joy, and that they were rescued.
Mm-hmm.
This is it's a tragedy for folks that were allied against the Lord, but it was their salvation also, and they were very happy and joyous. And they start singing, deliver us, and they make it to the Red Sea, and so I think it's like a mixed bag, man. This God's for real.
Yeah,
this God is for real, and
they looted them.
They
gave them their
came
jewels
out
and
rich.
gold, came out rich.
All these Egyptians come
and
with
some
them.
of the Egyptians were like, "I'm coming with y'all."
Yeah, yeah.
There's a mixed multitude came out.
I
of
get
Egypt.
that.
Yep, like
I
I'm coming
get
with
that.
y'all.
Yep.
The gods of Egypt have no power with your God. We're going with you.
Yeah, and so Pharaoh summons Moses and Aaron in the night, and he says, "Get out immediately from among my people, both you and the Israelites, and go worship the Lord as you said. Take even your flocks and your herds as you asked, and leave, and also bless me."
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah. How about that?
He changes his mind.
Yeah, he changes his mind. Yeah, because they get out.
They go through the stages of grief.
Yeah, yeah.
At first it's like bargaining and like sadness, and then it's anger.
Yep.
It's like, we're going to kill him.
Yep. And so they chase him down.
Yes.
And
turns out to be a big mistake.
Yep. You get Moses splits the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, God actually splits the sea. And they walk through.
Behold the salvation of the Lord.
Yep, yep.
Today you see Pharaoh's army, but you will never see them again.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
Man, that's boss.
I know, it really is.
And so, you know what, though? I think the thing that did this the best, and I haven't seen it in years, but Charlton Heston, the Cecil B. DeMille version of the Exodus with Charlton Heston.
Yeah. Old school.
I used my professor used to call him Cecil B. DeMoses because he always. But when Charlton Heston stands in front of the sea, this is like the '60s, man. The special effects were amazing for the day.
Yeah.
And there's this scene where the water splits, and it stands up. It makes a noise, just like that. And he's standing there, and the Egyptians try to get him. Right?
Yeah.
And then this pillar of fire goes, and like lands in front of the army and just like sets this wall of flame, so that they can't pass.
Yeah.
And then Israel just walks through on the dry land, and then the fire drops. And the water's still up, and they like run out there on their chariots, and that was a mistake.
Because the water's going to come back down.
Yeah. Flood waters rise, baby.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
That's how they do it in the cartoon movie too. I wish I had a different word for cartoon, animated or something, because
cartoon has a weird thing for our generation.
Yeah.
Maybe the tail end.
Seems
cartoon
silly.
is
it's not
like
silly.
Bugs Bunny, Disney, old Mickey Mouse cartoons.
Yeah.
Cartoons were not serious when I was growing up, mostly.
Yeah.
But now they are. Some of the best shows I've ever seen in TV in my life are animated.
What's your number one?
Avatar, The Last Airbender.
That's a
one
good
of
one.
the greatest shows of all time.
Number two.
Period. Animated shows? Man, Disney's done a lot. Like, I really enjoyed Star Wars Rebels from what I've seen.
Oh, yeah,
animated?
Yeah.
My friend's trying to get me on Clone Wars.
Yeah, I tried to get you to watch that.
Let me see. I'm blanking here.
SpongeBob.
I would call SpongeBob a cartoon.
I love SpongeBob.
Yeah,
man.
SpongeBob cartoon. Oh man,
Yeah.
I know I'm forgetting a animated classic series that I'm gonna kick myself for later.
Justice League was really good.
Oh,
Unlimited.
yeah. No, it's something on the par of Avatar. Why am I forgetting my stuff?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, I'll remember and say it next time.
We watch cartoons sometimes.
But most of my most of the things I watch now is animated stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when I get on a binge, it's usually an animated.
Well,
thing.
you need to watch Clone Wars. It's
I
fun.
do.
Yeah.
I have a problem.
See, I'm wearing right now as we speak Darth Vader socks. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got on my Yoda underoos, man. I've had since. Do you remember underoos? Underoos are fun to wear. When I was a kid, we were like 12. They sold underwear with your favorite superhero on them, and like you could have Yoda.
Oh yeah.
And,
we had that
Batman and Superman. Wonder Woman. I don't know if you.
Well, when I was a kid,
that, but yeah, it's on there.
When I was a kid, all little boy underwear was superheroes.
Yeah, underoos was the first one to think of that.
Yeah,
I wonder whatever happened to underoos. They
had
a little
Hanes bottom or something.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, back in the tidy whitey days.
So, the Passover becomes. Sorry, I'm trying to bring us back.
So anyway, underoos. Yeah. So the Passover is very serious.
Yeah. Well, it's like I think it's an important story for the Old Testament, for the whole story of the Bible, for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons it's important is like just the theological like depiction of how God redeems people. That even in the New Testament, like Jesus is like this Passover lamb.
Yeah.
Right. And so they're sacrificing these lambs. When Jesus is first seen by John the Baptist, he looks up and he says, "Behold,
the Lamb of God.
Yep.
It takes away the sin of the world."
Yeah. And this is prefiguring also all of the Levitical sacrificial laws.
Yeah.
That are going to come here in the next couple books of the Bible. And so this is, kind of like one of the first, explicit sacrifices for your salvation, you know, in the scriptures.
Yeah, the book of Hebrews talks about this like a lot of people say prefigure, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I prefer shadow substance.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Because it casts a shadow forward.
Yeah.
And it's everything that happens in the Old Testament is a shadow of what's to come, whether it's the temple, the tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant, Jesus, the priesthood of Aaron. All of these things are the substance is Christ. Mm-hmm. The shadow is the old covenant. So Christ is the Passover lamb.
Yeah.
Christ is the Day of Atonement sacrificed. Christ is the high priesthood.
Yeah.
Christ is the king. All of these things are pointing towards we're going to put all of these into one person.
Yeah.
And that's who we're looking for.
Yeah.
And it is from all the way back to Genesis.
Yeah.
From we're going to have one that crushed the head of Satan, and this is how you're going to know who it is.
Yeah.
This way.
So you look at the theme of blood and how blood is used in sacrifice. That's a bizarre subject for most people. Like, we don't really get sacrifice. We don't do that in our day and age. And so we read that in the scriptures. It's like, what is happening? Why are they killing these animals? What does it mean? But you see like one example of this with the Passovers, they're going to put the blood on the doorpost, right?
Yeah.
And, but later on in the Levitical law, when they're having these lamb sacrifices, where's the blood placed?
On the altar.
It's on the altar, but it's also in some other places too.
Is it on the ear
and your toe, your foot,
toe and your thumb or something?
The blood goes on you, and then also like it goes on the ark, right? It gets splattered on the ark in the Day of Atonement, and so this blood is getting placed on people for purification, right? And um, in the New Testament, what's the parallel? It's the Lord's Supper. It's the wine, right? The blood of Christ, and it's like inside of us. We drink it.
Yeah.
And it's like a theme that gives some legs to the prophecy that in Jeremiah and Ezekiel, that this new covenant will be written on your heart. It'll be it will change you.
Your
right?
temple's being cleansed.
Yeah.
And it's in the first of Leviticus, it has a sacrifice for atonement outlined.
Yeah.
And it talks about when the man of the house would take the lamb to the priest, he would lay his hand on the head of the sacrifice and confess. And the moment that he confesses, the priest kills the lamb.
Yeah.
And it's this like transfer of sin to someone, to this lamb.
Yeah.
And the writer of Hebrews talks about that.
Yeah.
That it's not, the blood of bulls and goats never really took away your sin, because why'd you have to do it all the time?
Yeah.
It was just, it was a sort of shadow, a cover, until the true Passover lamb should arrive. And you lay your hand on his head by faith.
Yeah.
And your sin is transferred to him.
Yeah. And you see that explicitly in the story, because that sin is the real problem. Like the bondage in Egypt is a problem, but sin is the real problem, because Israelites can't go outside that night.
No, they can't.
Like if they go outside, they're going to die. The
if you disobey the
Yeah.
law, God is not a respecter of persons. It doesn't matter. And if you're an Egyptian and your Hebrew neighbor said, hey, man, you guys need to sacrifice a lamb and put it on your door, or come to our house tonight.
Yeah.
And even in the outline, when God is talking about this is going to be the law of the Passover, he's like, if they want to, long story short, if they want to enjoy the Passover with you, they need to be circumcised, and then they are to be treated as a native.
Yeah.
Whether they're slave,
Yeah.
whether they're Egyptian, it's the same.
Yeah.
And so if the Israelites went outside, they died. If they didn't put the blood on the doorposts, they died.
Yeah.
You break the law of Yahweh, you die.
Yeah.
And if he passes over you, it's by grace.
Yeah, that's right. And so you see it really explicitly, that the problem in all of it is that there's this sin debt that's owed to God, and they're all under condemnation because of their sin. It's only grace, through the sacrificial system, that they're being spared. That's just kind of like the more explicit way it's talked about in the New Testament. I think another reason why this is a very important story is about. It's actually important for a different reason. It's not important theologically. It's important apologetically.
Yeah.
Because people get uncomfortable when you start talking about the death of, I don't know, let's say 1 million people.
Yeah.
I don't know how many it was. Firstborns, children.
I no clue.
They're uncomfortable by that. And they bring up questions about, like, how could a good God, kill the children like this? Like, how could he do that?
Yeah.
It wasn't just children, but there were children. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how could a good God do that?
Flood. How can a good God do that?
Yeah.
Well, if you want to keep the idea that he's good, then you have to do something with people. They must be bad.
Yeah.
If people are bad, then God is good to get rid of them.
Yeah.
If people are good, then God's not good. But if people are bad, then God can get rid of them.
If people are good, then God's not good?
If people are good
Based
and God's
on the
killing
story
good
so
people,
far.
if God's just out there just killing good people, how is that good?
Yeah, no, I get you.
But if people are bad, sinful, and by sinful we mean they're doing evil things to one another.
Yeah.
And they're bad to the core.
Yeah.
Then there's another weird question that comes up. Why does he let any of them live?
Yeah, that's right.
Why are they still there?
Yeah.
I mean, if you turn loose a bunch of rattlesnakes in your house, you should probably kill them all, right?
Yeah.
And somebody did that. Why would you let any of them live?
Yeah.
They're gonna grow up and be snakes and bite your kids. Get rid of them, right? It doesn't matter if they're 2 day. What you gonna do if you find a 3-day-old rattlesnake in your house?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's still a rattlesnake,
It's
right?
dead, man.
It's gone.
Yeah. And
But
that's the thing, because it's like what people get upset about is not the adults who they know sin.
yeah,
They're upset about the children.
yeah,
You know. And so what would you say about that?
they're going to be adults.
They're going to be adults. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things we can say about that. So one thing is we have a super myopic view of time because we think 80 years is a long time.
Yeah.
So it's like this child is so innocent, it's 2 years old. Well, what if I just told you the baby or the 2-year-old or whatever just feels like it goes to sleep and it wakes up in absolute paradise surrounded by God in the faces of the angels, and it lives 50 billion years in perfection and harmony.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like such a bad deal right there.
That's right.
In fact, that seems great.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have to go through all this junk here.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's this idea that, man, if God takes children, then maybe he takes them home.
Yeah.
And they're just in a great place where there is no death or sorrow or pain. They don't have to go through that sort of thing. So I think part of it is thinking this is all there is to it. And I think another part is realizing that God is not a person in the sense that
he's not a human.
He's not a human in the sense that he can't do. So he owns all the life.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. God is a person. He's a triune person.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not like us.
He's not like us
in this sense. Jesus is a person. He's a human being, but he's not like us also because he's God, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he owns all the life.
Yeah.
Why would I even have a child or a wife or any of that? It's because God's been nice to me.
Yeah.
Right? He's been very super kind.
Yeah.
And if he calls them home, did he wrong me? Has he wronged me?
Yeah.
Did he wrong the child? You have to trust him.
Well, it's the story of Job.
It's the story of Job.
Yeah.
It's the story of the world.
Yeah.
The whole wide world.
Yeah.
And so, that's where people get upset. They're like, these children are innocent. It's like, not exactly.
Yeah, that's not a one-to-one like that.
No. And God can do what he wants.
Yeah.
And we trust him that he's good. And if you really think that they fly off to a better place, it's not so bad.
And we do.
Yeah.
Like
now that means grief. I mean, but grief is still true. Death is an enemy.
Loss, all those things.
That's real. Death is wrong.
Yeah.
In the not in like sinful sense, but it is an invader.
It's not.
It's something that's going to be done away with.
It's not as it's supposed to be.
No. And so we're right to be like, man, I am angry that I've been separated from my loved ones. I am hurt that I'm separated from my loved ones.
For sure.
But the hope of the gospel is we're going to be reunited, right?
That's
it's
right.
It's going to be a big exodus.
Yeah, and that's the that's an important. It brings up things like the fate of children who die.
Yeah.
Because not all Christians believe that children are under grace.
Yeah.
And we believe that.
Yeah.
But not all children believe that. Or I'm sorry, not all Christians believe that. And I think that's just an important distinction to make. That
well, to be fair, it's a super gray area a little bit.
I don't think it's super gray.
I think it's pretty gray.
It's not like.
Here's what I know for sure: there ain't no children going to heaven without Jesus.
That's true. Yeah.
Yep. And so there's something up with us from the jump.
Yeah.
That we need saving.
Yeah.
And we're not born innocent.
Yeah.
Not completely.
No.
Or else babies could go to heaven without Jesus. Heaven could have been populated without a Messiah if they're born innocent.
Yeah. It's just like that Jesus pretty explicitly said, 2 children, the kingdom of God is theirs.
Yeah.
And that's where I don't think it's gray. Like there are a lot of people that talk about it as a gray area in that there's some kind of innocence there.
Yeah, but when do they lose it?
But I don't know that.
It gets weird.
I don't know that.
I know that's what I'm saying. So is it 6
I know
or
people
8
want to put an age
12?
on this for accountability. I think that's bogus.
Yeah, well, I mean, but people have been doing it for a long time.
It's a tradition, but it's
Catholic Church does it. Methodist Church
they got it from the Jews,
12.
12, yep.
What do they call it? Confirmation.
Age of accountability. And then Catholics and Lutherans call it confirmation.
Confirmation. Yeah. We call it age of accountability, which is what we made up.
The Jews call it that.
Age of accountability.
Yeah.
Well, that's because the Bible does. And that meant, though, not about heaven. That was
What are you talking about?
age of accountability is when you're 12 or 13, there's some debate.
Yeah.
If you go out and commit a crime, your parents don't pay for it because you're of the age of accountability.
Yeah.
So it's like not like, okay, now then he goes to heaven or hell on his own accord. It's like, no, if he goes and robs a liquor store and he's 13, but if he did it at 11, the dad goes to jail.
Well, if you ever
which is not really bad when you think about it. I mean,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you ever get into the weeds on like biblical studies on some of these passages, it's really bizarre. It's one of the most bizarre phenomena in biblical studies I've seen. It's like you get to like Matthew 8, or is it Luke 18? It's Luke 18, where Jesus says like, the kingdom of God is for such as these, and like the gymnastics that begin on those words and like definitions and everything. It's like it makes no sense to me. So that the commentator, guy who's writing this Bible commentary, can say we don't know what happens to children when they die. It is bananas, because it's like, I don't know what group they're trying to appease on that, but those words mean that.
Yeah. Well, what is it's hard though. Like, what does children mean?
Oh, I'm not as concerned about like the age change and stuff. I think like that children in our families and stuff, they hear the gospel. I'm about to sound Presbyterian. Evie is 6 and she loves Jesus so much. Yeah, she's not been baptized. She like,
what's she waiting for?
I don't know. We need to have the conversation.
Yeah.
She's asked me.
I know people get so wrapped up about it though. I do not at all.
Honestly, it wasn't. We just haven't had the time.
I know. It's like I've had this. This is a good one.
Yeah.
So in the Passover meal, it has instructions. Like Evie, as the youngest kid in your house that's able to talk and stuff, would be asking you questions. Why are we eating this meal? What's going on?
Yeah.
You would be discipling her through the Passover, right? But people get weird about childlike faith, and it drives me nuts because, and I understand it. They're like, I don't know if her faith is real. And I always counter with, I don't even know if your faith is real.
Yeah.
Like I've had 30-year-olds walk away from Jesus, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought they really loved him, and then the next day they did not.
Yeah.
So there's it doesn't matter if they're 6 or 36, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Here's
totally
how
right.
I know.
Yeah.
They die
Yep.
in the faith. And I'll be like, well, I think that was probably real. They
Yeah.
persevered right to the end. So like a 6-year-old kid who comes up and says that they love Jesus and that they believe that he is the King of Kings and that he died for them and he rose from the dead and they love Jesus, I'm baptizing that kid.
Yeah, well,
and then you know what?
Soon.
And
it's
then
gonna be great.
and then you know what happens? They leave to college at 19 or 18, and then they like get a boyfriend or a girlfriend and they sleep with them and they sin. Big time.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I don't know about this Jesus stuff, man. And Jesus is haunting their every move.
Yeah.
They feel bad, so they start raging against it. And then all of a sudden, they get broken over their sin, and they come back and they're like, I wasn't saved when I was 6. I need to be baptized.
Yeah.
And I think, okay. But kind of in my heart, I'm like, I think you probably were. You just sinned.
I think you're right.
I think you just sinned like crazy, and you're like, I couldn't have sinned this much and really love Jesus. I'm like, well, you never do really love him like you should.
Yeah.
Never, ever.
Yeah.
Never, ever. But he loved you the whole time, and that's why you're here.
Yeah.
And that sounds a little bit Presbyterian too, doesn't it?
Yeah, but we're not.
Not totally. And on Mondays, sometimes we feel that way.
Yeah.
But it's already Tuesday, so we're past it.
When I came to this church, I was more Baptist than I am now because of you. It's your fault.
It's not my fault.
It is your fault.
You want me to tell you what it is?
What?
You had kids.
I had
they
kids.
started getting that way. That's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what always happens.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, it seems like they should be in the covenant. Like why were the 8-day-old Hebrew boys able to get in the covenant? My kids can't.
Yeah.
And then Jackie Gaston over there his line's always open for you, buddy. He's a great Presbyterian.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jackie.
He's the
come on in,
Presbyterian
boys.
pastor.
The water's fine.
Yeah.
It's just a sprinkle, but come on.
Yeah.
I saw Jackie one day. I had their little baptismal font in there. And he's like, I meant to put that up before you get here. I said, brother, this thing's a miracle. He said, what do you mean? I said, I don't see how you get all them people all the way under in that little dish. He used to be a Baptist, and they stole him from us.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh, I guess I gotta get Evie baptized then.
Yeah,
She's asked if she wants to, and she always tells me at super inopportune times.
Well, that's how it is. That's how.
I'm like in the middle of something,
grilling some steaks.
I don't know. It's not. It's never anything as simple as
Oh.
that. Like leaving. I'm like walking out the
Oh,
door.
yeah.
It's like, Daddy, before you leave, I want to get baptized. Like, what am I gonna do right now? I can't talk to you about this.
Yeah,
right now,
yeah.
you know?
That's how it is,
Yeah.
man. That's how all of life is. It's
Yeah.
a series of inconvenient interruptions of stuff that is important over things that we think's important.
Yeah, I need to just. I will
Yeah,
find.
and
Dig gummit. I find.
I get it though, man, because like your kids want to please you, right? And,
Yeah.
And you don't want them to grow up and be like, "Oh, I didn't really love Jesus." Well, what could I know about sin? I was 6, and I just hammer people now because I'm old. Because old people get grumpy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What do you know about sin now?
Yeah.
What do you think you're okay now? You
Yeah.
are jacked up more worse than you were when you were 7, but you were jacked up enough at 7 to know it.
Yeah.
The Spirit of God can reveal to you you need Him. John the Baptist jumped around in the womb.
Yeah.
The Spirit of God came on him. That's
Yeah.
what it says.
Yeah.
I didn't say that's what the Bible says.
All right. Well, we're
So,
gonna be baptizing Evie soon.
hey,
Yeah,
look,
it'd be great.
it ain't even about a decision that you make.
It's not.
It's about a decision God made
That's right.
and
I know
revealed to
it.
you Jesus.
I know it.
I'm chewing you out
You
now.
chew me out.
I mean, you
I was
did make
dummy.
a decision, all you people
I was
listening.
a dummy. I'm a dummy.
You're a
Fine.
Baptist. We're jacked up too, man.
Yeah.
Oh, the grace of God that gets all us
Yeah.
Baptists and Methodists, some of us to heaven. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And even Catholics and everybody. If people get so mad at me, they'll be like, "Oh, you think some Catholics go to heaven?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I do.
I do.
I think you can believe dumb
I
stuff
do.
and go to heaven.
Yeah.
I do. I think I probably believe dumb stuff. I'm doing the best I can. But I'm going to get to heaven, and God's going to be like, "Hey, man, why wasn't you baptizing your babies?" I'm going to go, "Jesus, because I was stupid. I was so dumb. I was raised in a Southern Baptist house, and I couldn't get over it, and I was stubborn and dumb. I'm sorry." And they'll be like, "I know it, man. You did all kind of stupid stuff." Oh, they'll say, "You think all Catholics going to hell?" I'll be like, "Man, I think most of the Baptists probably going to hell, buddy. I'm worse than that."
Oh,
It's
man.
people dropping out like crazy.
Yeah. All right.
But there's an Exodus offered to you.
There is. Bring it back.
Yeah,
for
bring
the
it back.
Passover. I hope that's helpful.
Oh, hey,
yeah, go ahead.
while
yeah.
we're talking about
Yeah.
the Passover
Yeah,
and
go
the
ahead.
new covenant, what's happening in that supper?
What?
When we have the Lord's Supper on Sunday morning,
Yeah.
what exactly is happening there?
What is happening? I don't know.
What happens to that bread
That's
and
the
cup,
question,
buddy?
isn't it? Yeah.
What happens to you when you take it? What happens to the bread when it's blessed? What happens to the cup? Man, we fought wars over this stuff.
Yeah.
We don't even talk about it now, hardly.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep the peace.
Oh.
And look, ain't no two denominations saying the same thing about it.
No, they're
Mm-mm.
not.
It's sort of like when people say you should be baptizing babies. All the other denominations baptize babies. I go, they do, but their baptisms are as different from one another as mine
Yeah.
is from theirs. Like what they say is happening in that baptism.
Yeah.
Lutheran to Presbyterian to Roman Catholic to Orthodox to Baptist, it is every single one of them will say, "Well, this is what's happening," and it's not the same answer.
Well, I think at least just because of all the argument about it, you can establish that it's super important.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well,
Is it
here's the
okay-
evidence
Is it
that
okay
this
to
is very
say,
important.
"I'm not 100% sure what all's happening in there," to be honest with you?
That's kind of where I'm at.
That's kinda
I
where
think
I'm
it's
at. I don't know.
mysterious. When I think that's a good because that's the root. That's the word.
Yeah.
Sacrament is mystery.
Mystery.
That's how it started. It's like we're not sure
We're not
how and what God all is doing here,
Just
but
take it by faith, buddy.
He told us to
Feast
do it.
on Christ.
Yeah, faith. It is a faith move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I don't think's happening.
What don't you think is?
I do
happening?
not think he's turning into real flesh and blood.
I
can
don't
tell
think
you
that. Yeah, that's dumb.
I
Yeah.
think that
Did you ever hear the story of how that? It's called transubstantiation.
Yeah.
That's what the Catholics believe, and this is
Platonic.
Catholics. I don't know, whatever. But
Well,
it was argument among monks.
Yeah.
During the kind of the turn of the millennium.
dude, it's a big old. They called him the dumb ox, and I can't think of his real name. He's the biggest Catholic theologian.
That's
there is.
Thomas Aquinas.
Aquinas.
Yeah.
It's where it was kind of codified.
Yeah, he
But-
received it though. He didn't start it.
No.
he just received it as something part of the conversation, and
But it was not codified as transubstantiation official dogma until the Council of Trent,
Yeah.
which is
1200.
1,500 something.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Aquinas was around 1200.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it was not like this is what it is. And the only reason they said this is what it is because they had this dude named Martin Luther, and the whole world was going nuts.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, how about
He
that?
said it was consubstantiation.
Yeah.
Jesus is around the bread and
With.
underneath it and with it
Yeah.
and all. But he wasn't. It didn't become. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah, and it is kind of ridiculous.
And then Zwingli said, no, it's just a memorial. And he was like, you're the devil.
Well, in Zwingli's defense,
Yeah.
he says, "Do this in remembrance of me."
Yeah.
I think that's
Luther
something,
said,
man.
Luther said, this is my body. He carved it on a table with a knife and flipped the table over. He was mad about it. And Zwingli was like, well, he also said, I am a door. You think Jesus is a door?
Yeah,
like a physical door,
Yeah,
Martin? He's like, we are not of the same spirit. We agree on everything. 6 out of 7 points, but we're not going to get on your team because this dumb memorial view.
Well, that's why I'm Baptist, because I think it's better than the alternatives.
If you did
but I think it's more than just like a symbol, though. I think.
Don't get me started.
I do.
I think it is a symbol. I got to be careful there.
It's not,
I think it is a symbol. But I think symbols are more powerful. You shouldn't say just a symbol.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like a stop sign is just a symbol.
Yeah, I agree.
It has no physical power to stop your car. But if you don't stop at a stop sign, you might die.
Yeah.
And so it's a big deal. A badge of a police officer is just a symbol of authority invested in by the state. If you don't do what he says, things go south.
Yeah.
Because symbols are powerful.
Yep.
So you better pay
the symbol that's happening in Lord's Supper is important and powerful and real. Yeah.
If you don't pay attention to it, you'll die.
All right, give us the big deal, man. What's the big deal about the Passover?
God's serious about getting his people out of Egypt.
Yep. Serious about sin.
He's serious about sin. He's serious about deliverance.
Yep.
And if you do not obey him, you will die.
Yep. That's true.
That's it, man. That's it.
Yep.
And they still celebrate this day.
Yep. All right. Next week, we're going to be talking about the journey to Sinai and what happens there.
Yeah.
That'll be a big one.
Can't wait.
Exodus 19, super important. In 20, big chapter. Got 10 commandments coming up. Got some big stuff.
The tender commandments.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for listening. See you later.
See ya.